The 11th of July, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua with Rashi, Chukas. Okay.
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know whether there's something wrong with the internet connection. That's why I wasn't connecting to anything. So I just turned off my computer and turned it back on again. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Baruch Hashem, welcome.
Okay. I would like to skip to chapter 20.
Chapter 20.
Okay.
20, Pasuk Aleph.
Okay.
By the way, just an interesting, this Parsha Parah Aduma is like a stopgap between the Parsha of Korach, okay, which happened in the first year. I mean, actually, in the second year, they were in the desert, right at the beginning. And then we're going to see over here now, this is the next, this Parsha talks about the passing of Miriam. And that happened in the 40th year.
Oh, wow.
But Miriam passed away. She died exactly a year before they crossed over the Jordan. She died in the 10th of Nisan. That's a tradition has it that she died on the 10th of Nisan of the year before they came into the land of Canaan, Eretz Yisrael, and they crossed over the Jordan the following year. Exactly a year later, they crossed over the Jordan into Eretz Yisrael. Okay. Whose turn was it? I think it's your turn, Lou. I'm not sure.
Vayavohu b'nei Yisrael kol ha'edah midbar tzin v'chodesh harishon vayeshev ha'am v'kadesh v'tamas sham Miriam Vatikaver Sham. Okay, so the children of Israel came all the children of Israel, all the assembly.
The entire congregation, the entire community.
Right. And they arrived in the wilderness of Sin in the first month, and the people settled in Kadesh. And Miriam died there, and she was buried there.
Right.
So Rashi says, Kol ha'edah, edah hashalema, the complete assembly. Shech var may su may say midbar. Those who were to die in the wilderness had already died. The Elu per shu l'chaim. And these were set apart for life.
Right.
The entire assembly. Everybody in the assembly was going to live.
Right. So it's interesting. So Rashi already first indicates, even though this was a full year before they had actually enter Eretz Yisrael, nevertheless, all the people who were predestined to go into Eretz Yisrael were already there. There was none of the people who were existent, who were part of the Bnei Yisrael right now, were going to die during the following year. And this is indicates to us what the Gemara says in Gemara in Tainis, that on the last year, or last Tisha B'Av, we had in Parsha Shlach, the Kosh Baruch Hu said to the Jewish people, Yom Lashona, one day a year, you're going to be punished for having complained about the report of the spies. And Rashi says over there that on the day of Tisha B'Av, the night of Tisha B'Av, every year, the Jewish people, those men who are between 20 and 60, would dig graves and they would go to sleep in their graves.
Oh, nice.
And the following morning, right, only sizable number of people didn't wake up, didn't get up. Okay? Rashi says in Parsha Shlach that they all lived to the age of 60. Nobody died before the age of 60. Anyway, Akoponim, however, in the last year that they were in the desert, so again, like every year, they dug their graves and they went to sleep in their graves. But that following morning, everybody got up. Nobody died that night. So the Gemara says that they thought that maybe they'd made a mistake. Actually, it's not actually the Gemara, the Rashi says. Okay, that Rashi explains this, I think, from the Midrash. Rashi says that they thought, well, maybe they made this mistake in their calculation of the month. And that night was not the 9th. It was maybe earlier. So they went again the following night. And in fact, they did this for a few nights till they were 100% sure that it was already the 9th of Av had passed. And how did they know that? When they came to the 15th of Av, there was a full moon. So they said, well, it's already a full moon now. So obviously we could have passed. And they realized that the decree of all those who were to die in the desert had already passed. In other words, those who were living then in the last year were destined to live and go into Eretz Yisrael.
What happened to those who were over 60?
Sorry? Oh, so wait 1 second. So were they within the decree or not within the decree? So Rashi says in Parshas Bamidbar, if you remember, Rashi says that those people who actually got up were those who were actually 20 at the time of the sin of the spies, but they turned 20 between the counting of the Jewish people after Moshe Rabbeinu came down from the mountain. And that's what Rashi explains over there. There was the same number, exactly the same number in the counting in Parshas Pekudei as there was in the counting in the beginning of Parshas Bamidbar. So Rashi says, how could that be? One was in after Yom Kippur, and the other one was 6 months later in the beginning of the year. So Rashi says, who was included in the counting of those at 20 and up? Only those who had turned 20 by Rosh Hashanah of the previous year. So,
what about those who were over 60 at the time of the decree?
So they lived.
Uh-huh.
They weren't punished. So those who were part of the over 60s club, they were okay. Okay.
Okay, but Tamas, Sham, Miriam died. Lama.
There. Now the Rashi is dwelling on the word there. But Tamas Shom Miriam. Now the word Shom is superfluous. As it says, just should say Thomas Miriam, Vatikabel Shom. Why did it say Thomas Shom Miriam? Okay?
Lama nismecha mi sas Miriam. Why is Miriam's death juxtaposed the Farashas Para Aduma to the Parsha of the red cow? Lamar Lach, this is to tell you Ma Karbanos mechaperim. Just as offerings atone, af misas tzadikim mikaperes. So too does the death of the righteous atone.
Yeah.
But Tamas Sham Miriam. Miriam died there. Af he bineshika mesa. Also, she died through a kiss.
Right.
Umipnei ma lo ne'amar ba al pi Hashem.
By the way, I just want to explain what does that mean?
Say of her, she died by the mouth of Hashem. Pardon? Did you say something?
Yeah. Just finish the Rashi. Finish the Rashi, and I want to explain this whole concept.
She'eno derech kavod shel ma'ala. For it is not the way of honor of the upper world.
No, Shamala means of the one above.
The one above.
Now, to say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu kissed a woman is not derech kavod.
Why not?
Sorry?
You saying Hashem has lust? Chas v'shalom?
No, exactly. But it's still, you don't say, that's not what it's not a respectful way to speak thus of the one on high, to say that he kissed.
Uh-huh.
By the way, I'm going to explain this whole concept in a second. Okay?
Uva Aaron, and of Aaron, Ne'emar al pi Hashem. It says by the mouth of Hashem. Be'ele mas'e, in the Parsha of Be'ele mas'e. Oh, excuse me, somebody's here.
Okay. Okay? So that we're saying that with regard to Aaron, it says Al Pi Hashem, and also Gabi Moshe as well, it says Al Pi Hashem. But we'll see this, the Maisa, that's why Rashi mentions it here. I mentioned before that the word Shom is superfluous, and the Gemara learns out a Gezeira Shava Shom from Moshe Rabbeinu.
Oh.
Yeah, so the Goma Shom Aaron. Siv Be'al Pi Hashem. Dilav Gezeira Shava Asi Trei Shom Dichsi Miriam Lomali. Right, that's how the Mizrahi explains. Okay, so that's why Rashi pointed out over here about Thomas Shom Miriam, that she died there. The pasuk, since the extra word Shom indicates that to compare it to another place where it says Shom, and there it says that it be Aaron.
Uh-huh.
So Hashem did kiss her, but we don't talk about it. Is that the idea?
It's not something that's said. You know, it's not. By the way, what does it mean, a Mises Nashika? Okay? So the Maisa,
Hashem without intercession.
so the idea of a kiss, right? Why is it that two people want to express their love, right? They kiss each other. Okay? The idea is that each one is giving out his breath to the other.
Oh.
That's what a person, when he gives it, he's like giving off, breathing out of his breath to the other person. And I once also explained that the Mepharshim also the Sfarim say that Tchiyah Shofar, right? That blowing the shofar is also the same idea. A person Chazal say it's like a tefillah, right? It's like praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But sometimes a person cannot express his tefillah in words. Or he can just say, I want to give my life breath to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's how much I want to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's a similar concept to a kiss. That the blowing the shofar, the sound of the shofar is, or the sound, so not so much the sound, but the action of blowing the shofar is also a similar idea of wanting to connect like a kiss to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it says when HaKadosh Baruch Hu instills neshama into a person, HaKadosh Baruch Hu breathes the neshama into the person. And therefore, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it's Mises Neshika, means HaKadosh Baruch Hu just, in the same way as he put it in, he takes it out, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu breathes out, inhales the neshama, and the neshama is like just drawn out of the person as it was put in.
Huh.
That's Mises Neshika. It's the simplest, painless, effortless change in the person. The neshama just leaves the person in the body where it was without any effort, without any pain, without any opposition to letting the neshama go. And that's only obviously by tzaddikim. Tzaddikim, they perfected their souls, that the fact that their soul is that the neshama is inside the body is, I wouldn't say necessarily incidental, but it's a mere fact that the neshama is inside the body. The body is not constricting the neshama in any way. So therefore, when the time comes, when the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants to take neshama away, right, the body releases the neshama just like naturally. That's what it means by Mises Neshika. So that's the only, it says Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, as far as I know, were the only ones who were zeicha to ever see such a form of death.
Huh.
Okay? Pasuk base. Mayor?
Okay, it says, excuse me. V'lo haya mayim la'eda v'yikalu al Moshe v'Aharon. So there was no water for the congregation, and they assembled, I guess, before Moshe and Aharon.
Oh, yeah, which is like against
Oh, against. Al means against.
Moshe and Aaron.
So it shows their disposition when they came to them. Okay. Rashi. Lo hayat ma'im la'edah. There was no water for the congregation. Mikan, from here, shekol arba'im shana. That all of the 40 years, hayalachem habe'er. Oh, they had the well, right? Bizkut Miriam, through the merit of Miriam. So now that she'd passed on, they didn't have the well.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay, let's go on to Pasuk Gimel. I think we just have time for one more Pasuk. Lehoyo Maim La'ida.
Vayarev Ha'am im Moshe Vayomaru Lemor Velu Gavanu Bigva Achenu Lifnei Hashem. Okay, the people quarreled with Moshe and spoke up, saying, "If only we had perished by the demise of our brothers before Hashem." Okay, so Rashi says, "Velu Gavanu Halavai She Gavanu."
Right. Means
Would
Lu, Rashi explain what the word Lu means. You always wonder, well, it's probably Lu, you've always wondered what your name means. Anyway, Lu means halavai.
would they
Worry.
perished?
Right. So actually the word Lu means worried. Worried that we had died. Okay, Bigva Achenu.
Bigva achenu, by the perishing of our friends, no, our brothers.
Brethren.
B'misas achenu, by the death of our brothers.
The same type of death, same form of death as our brothers had died, with which our brothers died. I.e., Bedever.
Through a plague. Limaid. This teaches us she misas tzama, that death by thirst, muguneh mimena, is uglier than death through a plague.
It's worse. In fact, the Gemara says that death by thirst is one of the worst forms of death, most painful forms of death.
Bigva, death. Shame davar hu. This is a noun. Kamo b'misas achenu. Like it says, the death of our brothers.
It's if, as it had said, the misas achenu, with the death, i.e., the form of death of our brothers.
Yitachen lifar shu. It is not possible to explain it as a verb. Ke shemesu achenu, meaning when our brothers died. She'im came, that if so, haya lo linaked bigoa. Bigvoa. It should have been vowelized bigvoa instead of
bigva.
Va.
Okay, so now it's there. Bigvoya has a cholam on the vav and then patach under the eye, whereas bigva just has a patach under the vav and nothing under the eye. Okay, so basically, bigvoya achenu, right, would have meant that would be a gerund form, what they call. It's a with the dying of our brothers, which basically expressed in a verbal form when our brothers died. That's what Rashi says. That's what it would have. Below you're talking about kusha mesu achenu means when our brothers died, and the voya is a gerund form, right? Why? Because then instead of saying bigva achenu, it should have said big voya achenu. And in fact, what Rashi is pointing out, and this is what Rashi mentioned in the previous Rashi, the idea behind what they were saying was, for us to die by thirst is worse than haravai, we had died with the form of death that our brethren had died, with which our brethren died, i.e., with a plague of pestilence. That's what I'm saying. For us to die by thirst is worse than we would have died by pestilence. Okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, have a good Shabbos.
Okay. Have a good Shabbos, Rabbi.
All right, be well.
Okay. Bye now.